Have you ever heard the advice, begin with the end in mind, or ever wondered where that advice comes from? I'm Lisa, and this is Christian Career Joy, and this channel is coming out of that very idea. I'm an HR professional with over 20 years of HR experience, and I'm launching this channel to equip and encourage followers of Jesus to be the salt and light in the workplace. Did you know that over the course of your life, you'll spend more than half of your working hours preparing for, commuting to, recovering from, or being at work? That's why where we work is one of the most important places to live out our calling as disciples of Jesus. It's where our testimony shines or doesn't. I'm here in a cemetery because I want to share with you about how to write your ultimate reference letter and tell you what this channel is going to be about. When we think about reference letters, you might have a feeling of pride or maybe a feeling of dread. Either way, the idea behind reference letters is that past behavior is the highest predictor for future success. And so in university, we were kind of taught that this was something that started in the industrial age, about 200 years ago, give or take. I thought that was true until one day as I was reading 2 Corinthians chapter 3 for the umpteenth time, some words left off the page. It reads, "Are we beginning to commend ourselves again, or do we need, as some do, letters of recommendation to you or from you? You yourselves are our letter of recommendation written on our hearts, to be known and read by all, and you show that you are a letter from God, delivered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts." It's funny, I'd read that passage many times, but this was the first time that it jumped out at me. So I did a little digging in my study notes in my ESV study Bible and did a little bit of Googling to find out how far back reference letters go. And to my surprise, sure enough, about 100 years before Jesus came, there was this statesman, orator, philosopher named Cicero. He was kind of like a lawyer philosopher of his day, TED Talk, or like a Jordan Peterson or Tony Robbins of his day. We know that in the Bible that Paul would go to the Areopagus, and we read that in Acts 17, how people would go places and orate and speak and share their ideas. Cicero was somebody who did this about 100 years before Jesus, and one of his ideas was to get reference letters if you're going to hire somebody to do work. And obviously, the higher up in the caste system at that time in the Roman Empire that you got a reference letter from, the better it was, and you could charge more money because it was like someone was saying that you were going to do a good job and they don't even have to see your work before they can engage you in a huge piece of work. So let's skip forward 100 years to the time where Paul is writing this letter from Macedonia to the people in Corinth. And what's happening is people are going ahead of Paul in his missionary journeys to spread the gospel. And they are saying that they need a reference letter from Paul so that when they arrive there, that they know that they're a true follower of Jesus. So Paul, in his letter back to Corinth, that's what he said, is he said that people will know if the person who is teaching is a Jesus follower because in their actions and in their deeds, you will know that they're a follower of Jesus because they act differently from those around them. They have the good news within them that Jesus came, died on the cross, was buried, and rose again. You could have free relationship with God, which would have been completely countercultural in that day and age. Paul's teaching is just as valid for us today, that if we have Jesus within us, we need to approach things differently in our workplace, how we approach our work. One of my anchor verses for my life is Colossians 3:17, and I try to live it out every day. It says, "And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus. So we do that because of what Jesus did for us. And it just comes from within us differently, more naturally than those who don't have the love of Jesus within them. I know when I get to heaven, I want to hear, "Well done, faithful servant." And that's kind of why I came here to this cemetery. This is a cemetery where 5 generations of my family are buried, like 1/4 of my ancestry. And they lived their lives as a testimony to what Jesus did. There's a church just down the road that my family was a part of. It's the Second Baptist Church in Quebec. And it even is the Baptist church that planted a church in the capital of Canada in Ottawa, Ontario, the First Baptist Church right in their downtown core. I know that those who came before me were changed because they followed Jesus. And I was blessed to grow up in a family where Jesus was talked about openly and gave my life to the Lord at a very young age. I didn't always live the most holy life, but a few years ago when this clicked for me, it changed everything. That brings me to today where I am starting a new season in my life in writing my ultimate reference letter. And it leads to what I'm going to talk about on this channel. There's going to be 3 kinds of topics that I do. The first type of video is going to be practical HR advice with a biblical lens. And you could basically look at me as your HR guide through the moments that matter in your career and how we as Christians should approach them differently. A few ideas that I have for videos are how to study the Universal Employee Manual. Pretty sure you could guess that that's the Bible in a way that helps you make decisions in your day-to-day life at work. And I'm going to share with you my favorite communication tool that has helped me be more like Jesus to those around me at work. Ugh. Romans 12, 1 and 2 says that we are to be in the world, but not of the world. So when we take a biblical lens to how we approach things at work, we're going to be just different than those around us. The second type of video that I'm going to do is going to be about history. After the faith chapter in Hebrews, where we hear about all of the faith giants within the Bible, you can go into Hebrews 12, verse 1, and it talks about the witnesses that have gone before us. And since the time of when the Bible was written until now, we have 2,000 years of Christian church history to inspire us to how to use our career to live more like Jesus in the work. So I'm going to dig into testimonies of people who have lived, who changed the course of history, and maybe some people you don't know about, but they are people who have a testimony to be shared because I think there's things that can be learned. And goodness knows we can make enough mistakes on our own. It's pretty good to get advice from others, even if we don't know them personally. The third type of video that I'm going to do is interviewing people who live in today's time to just talk about how they take their secular job and glorify God with it, because work is worship. And all of this, my goal is to equip and encourage you in a way that maybe your pastor can't in the 30 to 45 minutes. And maybe when you're studying the Bible on your own, you're not seeing how to apply it to your day-to-day life. God bless, and we'll see you in the next episode. As you probably as you've probably guessed by now, this is my first ever YouTube video. And so if you have found this, put below in the comments February 8th, 2025, and I'll obviously see this timestamp that you found this. Because I intend to leave this up to just show how far I've progressed over time. And I'm going to stop trying to rack my brain on how to fix those little audio glitches. I can't go back and record because that cemetery is an hour and a half away from my house. And the name of the game is progress over perfection at this point. So thanks for being here. Oh, yeah. It is quite cold. It's minus 12 Celsius here, and the snow is up to my knees. It's cold.